Savannah, Trump once again undermined America's position supporting Ukraine in its fight against Russia.
Every time Zelensky comes to the United States, he walks away with $100 billion. I think he's the greatest salesman on earth.
I would say globally, it's shocking and frightening for our allies and friends.
Wait, we have allies? Oh, yeah. She must be referring to the people that we betray, like Israel. Israel could use the United States as an ally right about now. That's Mika. Not the brightest knife, that's for sure. Well, happy Wednesday to you, and welcome back. Got a little free ride. It's what Mika's been taking advantage of all of her life. It's good to be a Democrat, isn't it? Barely a two-digit IQ, multi-million-dollar salary. You know, it's a Democrat world. We're just living in it. But since it's Wednesday, you know, that means it's hump day at the Clinton household, and Hillary is waking up once again face down in a pool of her own dried vomit on a linoleum floor with the Secret Service standing over her, shaking their heads. Tisk, tisk, what might have been and thankfully wasn't. That's pretty amazing. And Bill, she's got to clear out of the house because it's hump day, and Bill, he's got plans, he's got ideas, he's got designs. So get out, Hillary, get out. She is a terrible and a sad person, isn't she? She had such hopes, such dreams, such aspirations, all dashed by Donald Trump. Oh, that was a terrible day for her. But a great day for humanity and a wonderful day for people that enjoy good humor, good comedy. Wonderful, wonderful day for humanity. And also, because it's hump day in the Clinton household and Hillary's got to get out after hosing off the dried vomit from the side of her face. That means it's mailbag day, too. See, there's a lot of upside to Wednesday, too, because it's mailbag day. And I have mailbag questions right here. That's the sound of a sheet of paper. And I'm going like that with it. So we've got mailbag day today as well. And Volodymyr Zelensky addressing the United Nations today. Yesterday, the Iranian president, the president of Iran, which is the number one state sponsor of terrorism in the world. And the president of Iran, he addressed the United Nations General Assembly yesterday, and they loved him because it's a dictator's banquet there. And they send their envoys, their representatives. The Western civilization is really on the rocks. And part of Western civilization itself, let's be honest, being on the rocks, is that the failed United Nations, maybe it was a fine idea for a minute, but it really hasn't worked out at all. Not at all. Are there peace talks going on somewhere about the what are we, 2 years in now to the Russia-Ukraine war? Or is it the Ukraine-Russia war? And we're coming up on 1 million people dead, and the Democrats don't have college students going around banging drums and rhyming things. They like things that rhyme, and rhyming things about stopping the war between Russia and Ukraine. And I've figured out that that's because the perception is that there are white people in Ukraine and white people in Russia. So they like the fact that there are 1 million dead. The left loves murdering people. You know, the Chinese, they got communists there, and they were playing with some germ warfare. Some germ agents at the Wuhan Institute of Virology with a little help from the U.S. government, from Democrats like Dr. Anthony Fauci. They got Fauci in there. Get some money to do research, gain of function on joims, dirty, stinking, rotten joims. And then they came up with that thing. And how many people did that kill in the end? 7 million to 8 million. They've chalked up 7 or 8 million dead from the Wuhan Institute of Virology. And no consequences at all for China or for the Wuhan Institute of Virology is still humming along, doing whatever they're doing. And nobody seems to care because the left murders tens of millions of people by various means. as they've done for a century. And we allegedly lost more than 1 million Americans, right, to the Wuhan Red Death. Isn't that right? Which is why we sell T-shirts at the Chris Plant store on Al Gore's Amazing Internet, and coffee mugs, too, with a bat on the T-shirt and a bat on the coffee mug. It says, I survived the Wuhan Red Death. See, it's the Wuhan Red Death because it's from Wuhan and the city of Wuhan, where the Wuhan Institute of Virology is. And it's red because they're communists, and it's death because communists are always death, and a lot of death here. But that's no big deal. So and then the Iranian terrorist, the head terrorist, well, he's not really the head, he's the president of Iran. The Ayatollah is really the head terrorist in charge in Iran. But the president of Iran, he showed up yesterday at the United Nations, and he spoke to them, and they enjoyed his presentation. They don't care anything about Hezbollah attacking Israel and murdering children, although they're fine with that at the UN. They're fine with that. And the Iranians are more than fine with that. That's great. And they fund not only Hezbollah and Lebanon attacking Israel now, and, send them some pagers. I got to get some more pagers up there. I think they're out of pagers. And that was a pretty funny trick, I got to say. And they fund Hamas in the Gaza, which is more than twice the size of Washington, D.C., but with 25 miles of Mediterranean seafront property. It should be a paradise. It should be the most prosperous place in the region. But savages are in charge, with Hamas. And they're bloodthirsty ghouls, and they want to gargle in the blood of innocents. And they're being funded by Iran. And the Houthis in Yemen also firing at Israel, and they're being funded by Iran. And the Iranian president gets a warm reception at the Hall of Dictators there at the United Nations General Assembly in New York City. The building should be converted to condos. It's a very nice location in New York City for condos. Good condos could be had, but not just yet. Remarkable stuff. And by the way, when the president of Iran was in New York yesterday, I believe that he enjoyed the protection and security provided by the Secret Service. Was it Secret Service or was it diplomatic security? I'm not sure which one provided. But the president of the Islamic Republic of Iran in New York yesterday, and he's kind of new to the job because, you don't stay in that job for very long. But his name is Masoud. I like to call him Masoud. I just call him by his first name. Pezeshkian. I'm going to go with that. That's, Pezeshkian. I'm going to go with Pezeshkian. Pezeshkian. What do you think, Pezeshkian? Masoud Pezeshkian. And he's the new president of the Islamic Republic of Iran. And anything that calls itself the Islamic Republic is hell-bent on murdering a lot of people. That's one of the problems we have in the 21st century. We had it in the 20th century, too, and the 19th and the 18th. So it goes back some time, actually, this whole problem. But, Masoud Pezeshkian, surrounded by dozens of, were they Secret Service? I'm not sure if they're, or diplomatic security. Are they DS or U.S. Secret Service? Visiting dignitary. I'm not sure, but lots of U.S. government protection, and apparently he made it just fine. Whereas nobody took a shot at him because the Democrats, they like the Iranian president. They just don't like our president. The other problem with Donald Trump is that he's on our side. He's on our side. And you know how they don't like that. Yes, sir. Yeah, we're required, of course, naturally to provide protection to visiting heads of state and all of that. And we don't want him getting shot through the ear while he's in Washington because that could be a public relations issue. So Democrats don't take any action there because they're picky. They're kind of particular. Amazing stuff. And Kamala's going to do a TV interview tonight. She's going to get a tongue bath on MSDNC. It's going to be horrible to watch. You don't have to watch it, though. I'll see what I can do to keep an eye on it. All right, let's before we go any further, let's take a phone call, Michael. Let's go to the telephones and talk to the nice people because, well, we've got a lot going on. We do have a lot going on. There's no doubt about it. But a lot of it has to do with all of the various threats from Iran to a Democrat in Idaho who has been arrested for threatening to murder President Trump. President Trump briefed yesterday by the Department of Homeland Security on the very real and looming Iranian threat to murder President Trump. And according to the reports, Iran believes that if they were able to successfully assassinate President Trump, as the Democrats are so eager to do, it would cause anarchy in the United States, chaos in the United States of America, and Iran would like that, and Russia would like that. And it looks kind of like the Democrat Party would like that, doesn't it? So right now, Michael, let's go to the telephones. Let's go to Donna calling from Frederick, Maryland. Donna, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hi, Chris. You know, I've been thinking about this Social Security. That's pretty funny. Secret Service thing. And I don't think they're all at fault here. I always think about what the great Doc Savage used to say, the fish rots from the head down. And to me, it points to Mayorkas. And I also want to add that I believe, and I've seen this in my own research, where Trump doesn't really trust those in big government to give him intelligence. He actually gets it from other people, which I find fascinating just by itself. So maybe you can elaborate on that. I don't know enough about it, but, you know, this just screams globalist interference in the election. And it's that simple.
Well, I've got to say our elections are not what they used to be by a good stretch. It's quite amazing. Now, I believe that you're correct, that President Trump, and rightly, understandably, lacks confidence in our government institutions at this point, given the way the FBI has assailed him, the Department of Justice under corrupt Merrick Garland, Joe Biden's wingman. He should have no trust, faith, or confidence in the Department of Justice or in the FBI. And that's a tragedy, but it's true. And then there's the intelligence community. And we saw the 51 signatories to that corrupt letter. And John Brennan, penitentiary face Brennan, the CIA director and Communist Party voter under Barack Obama, being one of the signatories to that letter. That was tampering in our presidential election. There's no doubt in the way that third world countries have their elections tampered in. And we pay the CIA to tamper in the elections of third world countries sometimes, but to keep their greasy mitts, their claws off of our elections. And so President Trump, who again early on said, listen, they're spying on me. And that was turned into a wild-eyed conspiracy theory by the filthy, corrupt news media, the Democrats that are, having sex with their news media people, their political people. It's a great big circle fest in a hot tub, as everybody knows. And remarkable stuff. So President Trump has every reason to not trust the intelligence community, has every reason to not trust the FBI, and every reason to not trust the Department of Justice. And that's a terrible thing, given that he's the Republican nominee and he's the former president of the United States of America. And so he has every reason to not trust the government that is supposed to be protecting him. And then, of course, he did get shot through the ear in Butler, Pennsylvania, and so many other issues. But, Donna, you're right about the lack of trust. And I don't think I'd be trusting them. In fact, I don't think I do trust them, and I'm not even Donald Trump. You know what I mean, Donna?
I totally agree. I don't trust him at all. And the sad reality is that so many people are still sleepwalking. It blows my mind. Look at the state of affairs in this country. And President Trump, God bless him, he's out there every day for us. And, the sooner people come to that realization, the better off we're all going to be. I don't care what party you're in. I know plenty of independents who've changed their views. Nothing's ever perfect, but geez, we have a businessman who's trying to literally save our country.
Yeah, and he was president for 4 years, and things were going quite well, swimmingly even, on the world stage. No war in Europe, no war in the Middle East. Our border was secure. There weren't Venezuelan gangs threatening to take over from the street gangs in Chicago, Illinois. They weren't raping children on on Nantucket Island and Martha's Vineyard, as is going on now. And I got to tell you, the Democrats, this is the fundamental transformation of America, ladies and gentlemen, honestly. So much more to say. Donna, thank you. You know, that football season is here, and Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action while you're watching your football. The app is incredibly easy to use. You pick 2 or more players across any sport, and you pick more or less on their projections, right? And you could win up to 100 times your money. And all the withdrawals are secure and fast and safe. Not only that, but Prize Picks is the only daily fantasy app with injury insurance. What's injury insurance, Chris? Well, if one of your players goes down in the first half, Prize Picks does not count it as a loss against you. That is amazing. So download Prize Picks app, the Prize Picks app today, and use the code PLANT. That's me. You're going to get $50, a $50 credit instantly when you play $5. The code is PLANT, P-L-A-N-T-E, and Prize Picks to get $50 credit instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to get the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks, run your game. Must be present in certain states to participate. Visit prizepicks.com for details and restrictions. Yeah, we're in a crazy place. And the reason is Democrats. I've got a lot more Democrats coming up. Let's go right to the phones. Joe Biden is on The View today, another hard-hitting interview. Let's go to Frank, calling from Elmwood Park, Illinois. Frank, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
What's going on, Chris?
Not much, Frank. What do you say?
Again. I'm just saying, I'm curious. Like, you're always pro-Israel. You always call Democrats anti-Jewish and all that. But how many of all the Jewish representatives in our Congress, how many are Republican, how many are Democrats?
Of the Jewish members? I'd have to whip out my calculator.
It's like 95% Democrat.
Yeah, it's probably true.
How can Democrats hate Jewish people if 95% of the congressmen that are Jewish are Democrat? How is that possible?
I'm sorry, how is which part possible?
You're saying that Democrats hate Jewish people, Israel, or whatnot.
Well,
right?
you've noticed that the Democrat Party has turned against Israel and makes Israel out to be the bad guy, and on college campuses, you've seen all that, right?
Yeah, but they're protesting against everybody, not just Republicans. They were all over the DNC, were they?
Well, the Democrat Party is anti-Israel. It's a peculiar reality. I'd like to apologize to Frank. I think Frank needed more time, and I was cut off by that nasty clock. Talking about Israel and the Democrats being anti-Israel, and I think Frank also wanted to talk about Ukraine. So we started pulling out our Dwight Eisenhower audio of "Beware the Military-Industrial Complex." And look, I'm not anti-military-industrial complex. I think that we do have and should have the greatest, most capable military-industrial complex in the world, and we need as the arsenal of democracy. That's Pennsylvania now. I saw Volodymyr Zelensky and the Democrat governor in Pennsylvania, Josh Shapiro, say, Pennsylvania is the arsenal of democracy. Well, no, you're making some weapons, and that's nice, but it's the United States that is the arsenal of democracy. And, Frank, it is peculiar that the Democrats have turned on Israel the way that they have, and they're raising a generation or multiple generations of anti-Israel Utes. What's a Ute? And I'm not a fan of that because I'm an Irish Catholic Zionist. And I do believe that Israel has a right to exist and that it's Fort Apache on the edge of Indian territory and that they represent civilization while they're surrounded by the opposite of civilization. And they're fighting for not only their right to exist and to live, but for the rights of civilized people everywhere to exist without being destroyed. So I'm very pro-Israel. And you're right, there are a lot of Jewish Democrats that are members of Congress. There are a lot of Jewish Democrats that are just Democrat voters. And what has happened to them it's based in critical race theory and this sense of victimization and so on. But Frank, it's a long conversation, which I have on an ongoing basis here. But I do apologize. I would have given you more time if I had it in that moment. So I want to say that now. We're talking about the attempts on President Trump, the Iranians plotting. Again, the Iranians are behind pretty much all of the efforts. They're helping in all the efforts to wipe Israel off the map. I don't think Israel should be wiped off the map. I think they should be left alone to be civilized and to win Nobel Prizes and to, cure illnesses and invent things that we all use, as Israel has always done. I don't believe they should be wiped off the face of the earth. But we're raising Democrats by the thousands, if not millions, in the United States to chant from the river to the sea. And then we make jokes that after their pagers are blowing up in their front pockets, from the liver to the knee, from the liver to the knee. That's the thing on that. Now, let's go to the Lindsey Graham, the number three. President Trump was out. He had an event yesterday in Savannah, Georgia. Wonderful Savannah, Georgia. But before we get to that, because we were talking about the Iranian plot and all of that, let's get Lindsey Graham, who was on with Jesse Waters last night on the Fox News Channel, talking about Iran plotting to assassinate President Trump. And according to the government, they briefed the President Trump, the Trump campaign, that they're hoping if they assassinate President Trump, that it will cause anarchy and chaos in the United States of America. And Iran would like that. And, Iran hasn't taken a shot that we know of at President Trump yet, but we've got two Democrats that have tried so far, and a third Democrat arrested yesterday in Idaho because he has been threatening to kill President Trump, and so he was finally taken into custody. Idaho man charged with threatening to kill Trump in phone calls to Mar-a-Lago, Warren Jones Crazy Bull. His name is Crazy Bull. Every Democrat is Crazy Bull, really. I mean, it's the universal Democrat name, Crazy Bull. Nancy Pelosi is Crazy Bull. Crazy Bull. Joe Biden is Crazy Bull. Certainly Kamala Harris is Crazy Bull. Every time she talks, Crazy Bull. Hey, Crazy Bull's back. She's talking again. Warren Jones Crazy Bull made at least 9 threatening phone calls to the former president's residence, Mar-a-Lago, prosecutors said in court documents. So this Pakistani is in prison in New York. He's in jail. He appeared in court last week, sent by Iran to hatch a plot to assassinate President Trump. You had crooks in Butler, Pennsylvania, shoot President Trump through the ear. You've got the Florida, of course, he came in from Hawaii to attempt to assassinate President Trump in Florida. And the news media treats all this like it's nothing at all. But Ryan Ruth has now been charged yesterday with attempted assassination. He had until yesterday been charged with lesser crimes of possessing a firearm as a convicted felon. And most Democrats are convicted felons, and no Democrat should be allowed to own firearms. Honestly, if you're a registered Democrat, I think you should surrender your Second Amendment rights. No doubt about it. But the Idaho man has been charged with threatening to kill Donald Trump in phone calls made to the former president's Mar-a-Lago resort in Florida. According to court documents, Warren Jones Crazy Bull, 64 years old, of Sand Point, Idaho, sounds nice, made at least 9 threatening phone calls to Trump's home on July 31st, according to a criminal complaint and affidavit that was first reported Monday by Forbes magazine. Why would Forbes magazine get the scoop on that? Mar-a-Lago security received a phone call from a phone number with a A caller ID, Warren Jones. Every day's an IQ test, Crazy Bull. And Crazy Bull made several statements, including, "Find Trump. I'm coming down to Bedminster tomorrow. I'm going to down him personally and kill him." It's right to the point from Crazy Bull. Crazy Bull is obviously a Democrat. Now, Bedminster, New Jersey is the location of Trump National Golf Club. And he was at the Trump International Golf Club, I believe it's called, in West Palm Beach, Florida, when the latest Democrat tried to assassinate him, Ryan Ruth, with his rifle lurking in the bushes and all that stuff. And then we learned yesterday while we were on the air that the son of the suspected would-be Trump assassin in Florida was arrested on child porn charges. Oran Alexander Ruth, 35 years old, has been arrested on federal child pornography charges. Pretty amazing stuff. So the son of would-be Trump assassin Ryan Ruth, taken into custody yesterday on federal charges of possessing child pornography. This is just another Democrat family. It's, they're not exactly the Brady Bunch. It's not Leave It to Beaver. But it is a typical Democrat family. Isn't that amazing? All right, so let's get to Lindsey Graham. Because Lindsey Graham was on the television yesterday talking to Jesse Waters, and they were talking about the Iranian plot to assassinate President Trump, one of many at this point. The rest all Democrats. And, of course, the Democrats, again, back to Frank in Illinois, the Democrats are supporting Hamas and Hezbollah and, by extension, Iran. Joe Biden has funneled billions of dollars to Iran. Barack Obama funneled and made sure many, many tens of billions went to Iran so they could fund their war on civilization. But Lindsey Graham was asked about this last night on Jesse Waters.
I think this is an act of war against the American people. It's a hostile act. The Iranians are hacked into President Trump's campaign account, his legal team's account, sharing the information with the American media to undermine our election. We've done nothing about it. At the end of the day, we know they're trying to assassinate President Trump, Pompeo, Brian Hook, Robert O'Brien, and we're doing nothing about it.
Not doing anything about it. Now, it's not always the case, but Lindsey Graham is right. And he's talking about this, how we just wave the enemies of civilization into our bedrooms and make them soup.
What are the consequences to a foreign government interfering in our election when it comes to Donald Trump? Nothing. That's unacceptable. So what did the UN General Assembly do with the largest state sponsor of terrorism, a country trying to kill President Trump, hacking into his campaign? They invited an Iranian representative to speak to the UN General Assembly today. You can't make it up. Biden spoke to the UN General Assembly and talked about the winds of change. The winds of change are a fire created by Joe Biden.
Yeah, those are the winds of change right now. The left taking over the United States. That's where the real stench, the foul wind of change is coming from, is from the international left taking over the Democrat Party in the United States, and they're here to take down the U.S., Lindsey Graham.
This is unacceptable to the Biden administration. You owe it to the American people to punish Iran for trying to undermine our elections.
I think that might be a good idea. Senator Rand Paul was also asked about the Iranian threat against President Trump, the plot to assassinate him.
We have to get it right. We have to, if we can't even stop the random guy who's camping outside the golf course, if we can't do a good job of that, how are we going to stop a sophisticated assassination attempt by a foreign country? So we've got to do a much better job.
We do have to do a much better job of pretty much everything. Also, Senator Roger Marshall on the subject of Iran, the world's number one state sponsor of terror, plotting to assassinate President Trump, Republican candidate, former president, possible future president.
The Secret Service is the Keystone Cops. They don't know who's on first, what's on second. It's a comedy of errors. Americans out there thinking, if we cannot protect our leaders, can they protect us?
What do you think the answer to that is, honestly? And how many people on the terror watch list have been waved across our southern border over the last 3.5 years with nobody doing anything about it? But Rand Paul was, and Lindsey Graham for that matter, talking about the Iranian president showing up and speaking at the United Nations yesterday to the General Assembly. Masoud Pezeshkian.
The world has witnessed the true nature of the Israeli regime. It has witnessed how the regime carries out atrocities in Gaza and how in 11 months it has murdered in cold blood over 41,000 innocent people.
Yeah,
they
that's what
label
happened.
the freedom-loving and brave people around the world who protest against their genocide as anti-Semitic. They label oppressed people who have stood up against 7 decades of occupation and humiliation as terrorists.
Well, no, we identified terrorists as terrorists. And, Israel, 7 decades, he's talking about the creation of the State of Israel. And they're the terrorists, and it's genocide. And, this guy is a terrorist, and he's a genocidal terrorist. And the Democrats have people on college campuses parroting what he's saying about the State of Israel, which has never attacked anybody in an unprovoked circumstance. But when genocidal lunatics, and again, there is a two-state solution. Gaza is twice as big, more than twice as big as Washington, D.C., but with 25 miles plus of Mediterranean beachfront property. It should be paradise, but ghouls and jackals rule the roost there, and they want to perpetrate a genocide on their next-door neighbors who have more Nobel Prizes than, the entire Islamic and Arab world combined by a factor of about 20. But never mind that. That's not a big deal. And the Democrats are raising children and high school and college students to chant from the river to the sea and to condemn Israel. Just amazing. Man, oh, man. Okay, let's go. Let's take a phone call. Let's go to line 7. Let's go to Gary calling from Central Florida. Garrister, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hey, Chris. Love your show.
Thanks.
Always, many years ago, followed you. Okay, so it's a historical perspective that Israel has, actually biblically, there's been part of Israel that has turned on God. And this is where it goes to when we come up to the Frankfurt School that came over to America in 1933 to escape Nazi persecution. They were all Jewish Germans, just about all of them. So they basically betrayed God, like Karl Marx, and they turned on Israel, even though they were from Jewish origin and heritage. And that's where the critical theory, as you said, critical race theory, that's where it actually originated from.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, from the Frankfurt School and from critical theory before it became critical race theory, right? Well, you're saying that that's why the left in the United States, because these German Marxists came over, bringing the Frankfurt School, and many of them were Jewish, and they were turning against, and they didn't want a state of Israel created in the first place in many instances, and so on. And so you're saying that's where the schism takes place.
Yeah, it's a long war on God. That's what it's all about. That's what it's always been. I just read a book called The Devil's Pleasure Palace by Michael Walsh, and that explains a lot related to the Frankfurt School. And so the Frankfurt School infiltrated all the American universities. They established themselves in Columbia University, of all schools, Columbia Law, in New York City. That's why Obama went there and so many others. It's extremely influential to the American education system, and it was a long march through our institutions. Antonio Gramsci talked about this, and Angela Davis was a part of this, as well as the Black Panthers, and that's where we see the Chicago connections and all that from the communism that was infiltrating America. The 60s activism, the whole movement was truly a communist revolution, a cultural revolution, and that's where separation of the family and the church, and then we move on to civil rights. They were taken over, including MLK, by the communists. The communists were part, that's why you say the Jewish support of civil rights leaders, black, they were really, truly the communist Jewish. So they weren't Jewish. They were Jewish by heritage, and they were from all different countries originally anyways.
Right, and even Black Lives Matter, where many of the leaders said that they were trained Marxists, and they said it out loud. and the initial charter for Black Lives Matter, they came out in opposition to Israel. They had foreign policy on one country and one country only, and they believed that Israel shouldn't exist. And they also declared war on the nuclear family. The Black Lives Matter Charter, which is full Frankfurt School, full Marxist, commie, anti-family, and interestingly, anti-Israel. Too much freedom going on. Gary, good stuff. Keep learning and being smart and sharing. And thanks for listening to the show. That's great stuff. Did you know if left untreated, AFib, atrial fibrillation, can increase your risk of stroke and of heart failure? AFib runs in families, so if somebody in your family has had AFib or heart and stroke issues, and whose family hasn't, you have a higher chance of developing afibrillation, right? Atrial fibrillation, not good. That's why you should check out the KardioMobile Personal EKG by AliveCor. It's FDA cleared to detect AFib, atrial fibrillation. It's a pocket-sized EKG device that gives you 6 views of your heart. So it's incredibly easy to use, and you can take medical-grade EKG right on your smartphone in just 30 seconds and easily share accurate EKG data with your doctor or with whomever you'd like to share that data. Your wife, your husband. This month is AFib Awareness Month. That's better than a lot of other months we have, so it's the perfect time to manage your heart health. And for a limited time, KardioMobile is giving 20% off to all my listeners. That's you. Just go to Kardia.com. That's KARDIA.com. Or you can go to Amazon and use the code 20PLANT, 20PLANT, and you're going to get 20% off your KardioMobile 6L device. It's a wonderful device. I have one. Sponsored by AliveCor Inc. Yes, sir. Yeah, it's true. Politics and, these cultural things are complicated, aren't they? But Gary has correctly zeroed in on very important elements in all this. And in the end, you know what it is? Commies, or as I like to shorthand things, Democrats. All right, I've got the mailbag coming up, and if you live in Seattle, don't bother calling the police.